The flower of 2024 is the peony. And aren't they absolutely gorgeous? They have different flower types. Some of them are single petaled, some of them are semi-double, and some of them are double petals. Absolutely wonderful and in so many colors. You can plant them using bare roots. You can see me shopping for some right here. Or you have the option, if you like, to get some that are already established from your garden center, and you can actually plant them that way, and it gets you a little faster along the way. I'm going to be planting some today, and I'll show you also some things that you can do to help them to be at their best while you're growing them. And if you've never been here before, my name is Marlene. Welcome to my home and garden channel. And now let's go ahead and get a little bit of detail on these wonderful plants called peonies. And they have been around for such a long time. Some of them are a little more vintage, and you have some more modern varieties. They are actually spring blooming flowers, so they typically bloom anywhere from early spring into mid, sometimes late spring. And they have many different colors, ranging from reds to pinks, salmon. Sometimes you may have two-toned ones like these right here. And when you're getting the bare roots, they're reasonably inexpensive. So that's definitely an option to consider if you want to introduce this plant to your garden. When they are about to start blooming, you'll see the little flower buds come up like this. They have little, they're little round balls, very compact, and they open up over time, and they just absolutely grace your landscape. Now you can also have peonies that are herbaceous, which is what these are. We're going to be talking about those today. We can also have tree peonies or some hybrids of those. They do have heavy heads though, so basically you'll need to support it with stakes or little cages, support systems like these, and I'll link these in the description box below for you. And as far as what they need, they typically grow in slightly acidic soil. They like to have the soil well drained. They don't want to be too dry, but at the same time, they don't want to be sitting in soggy soil all the time, because just like most plants, they do not like to have wet feet. So we're going to go ahead and get some planted today. I'm going to be planting them in one of my flower beds. And here are some of the things that we're going to need. We'll need to have a little bucket because we're going to soak them. This is the one that I chose right here. And I absolutely like this color. I figured, why not, let's go for pink. And it gives you all the instructions on there when you get it. Of course, there are different brands available, and I can link some below for you, so you can take a look to see what kind you might want to get if you wanted to purchase them online. And it basically gives you instructions on like how tall they get, how deep to plant them, and kind of what to expect on the package there. And of course, we'll need to have our trowel and scissors to cut it open, so we can go ahead and get started. And this one actually kept it for 2 months. I was looking to see, saying, okay, hopefully it's still in good shape, because I meant to plant it a little bit earlier, but, things got in the way. And typically you plant the bare roots in the springtime, early spring, if the ground isn't frozen over where you are, or you can plant them in the fall, like early fall before it gets really, really cold. So that's really the best times to plant it. So I took a look there and I saw a little green part under the root right there. You could probably see it in there. It's still very much alive, so I was so happy, because I thought maybe I'll have to go back and get another one, because I had it sitting for about 2 months. So that was a blessing right there. So the next thing then is to go ahead and get it soaked. You can skip this step if you like, but I think it works out so much better if you just give them a nice soak. And it's typically recommended to soak them for about 20 minutes or so in either room temperature or slightly warm water. And who doesn't like to have a nice warm bath? And this just kind of like, helps them to settle down a little bit and get adjusted to being in a different environment. Because basically, when you are looking at it, you can see that it was basically in the package there, and they put them in, most times it's like peat moss that they put them in. So it's going to be a little different where they're going. So the water helps to, hydrate them so they can adapt a little bit better to the transplant process. And you want to make sure that it's actually sitting down at the bottom of the water. If it's floating to the top, it may mean that your root is not good anymore. It may have died or dried out on you. This is the soil I'm going to be using here. It's a nice little mix. And, it's nice and airy. And this is kind of what we need. We don't want to have heavy soil. So this is the soil that I'm using today, garden soil. You can use any brand you like. It shows you that it helps to promote strong root growth, and it has enough in there to help these plants along to start. typically you will see that I like to use like black cow manure and other different types of things like that to amend the soil. The problem with this is that manure has a high amount of nitrogen in it, and nitrogen will give you a lot of leaves on a peony and not many flowers. So you definitely want to avoid that. Also, you also have the option for a disease called botrytis that can arise from that. So I would say definitely avoid manure. Coffee grounds is a similar situation as well. Look for plant food that says 10, 10, 10, 10, 20, 10, 5, 10, 5. First number for nitrogen, second number for phosphorus, third number for potassium. We'll look at plant food a little bit further in the video. So in this instance, you will not see me amending it that way. I'm just going to use a regular garden soil to go along with the plant. And before I go any further, I just wanted to say that, I do lots of gardening for flowers, but I also do fruits and veggies. So I'm so pleased if you would hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell twice, so you can follow along with all of our plantings and all the wonderful things that we have in store for you. So this is the area that we're going to put it right next to my hydrangea. I think it's a perfect spot because they like full sun, but they like a little bit of a break from it. So it's not sunlight all day. So maybe a south-facing garden might not be the best spot, maybe like east or west, but not full shade because they're not going to do well there. So over here you can see that we have, I use like river pebbles in those areas that's next to my house, as mulch. In other areas we'll put in further away from the house, we'll use like, like the pine bark and so on. But because it's next to the house, to avoid things like little termites and stuff like they're invited over. The river pebbles definitely help to deter them, so we like to use it next to our house, and it's really pretty too. It just gives it that nice organic feel, so I love it. So we actually have the weed matting underneath, so I'm just going in and basically making a little circle there to cut right through as neatly as I can. And the soil is fairly soft right here, just that I didn't want to make it too messy, so I'm basically taking my time here. So and we just go in then and start taking out the soil. If you take a look close, you can see that it is kind of heavy. It's kind of like a clay soil that's in my area. So we don't want to put our peonies in that. We want to go ahead and take that out for the area that we're putting it in. And I would say as far as the width of the hole goes, make it to be like about, I'd say 3 to 4 times the width of your roots that you're going to be putting down in there. So it has enough space and enough of the good soil going in. So I'm just going in and taking my time and taking that out. And you can always leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of soil is in your area. Is your soil like a heavy clay like mine? Because I'm in the southeastern United States. Or is your soil more sandy? Do you have a nice loamy soil? What is it that you work with in your area? Do you do a lot of amending of the soil, like a lot of fertilizers and stuff? So everything has been cleared out now. It's the size that I want it to be, and I figure that that's deep enough. So I'm just, making it a little bit fluffier down in there, and then I'm just going to go in and add it. So this is our mix that we're putting in there, and I like to just mix in a little bit of the native soil with it, just a little bit to give it, a little bit more hold to it. And it was such a wonderful day out. The birds, I just love springtime in the garden. You just hear the birds singing and everything is just going so well. It's nice and cool, so it's just perfect to get your plants down. I'm just going in and working it in right there. And then once we've gotten to a reasonable height, we'll go ahead and get it added in. Now, as far as the roots go, this is one plant that you really should not be planting it too deep. This is what they tell us. And you can see my little shoot part right there pointing upwards. That's how we want it to go. So it knows which way it's going, which would be up. But you want to make sure that it is not more than 2 inches deep, because this plant will come up and it will give you leaves if it's deeper than 2 inches, but it will not give you flowers. So you want to make sure that you're not going deeper than 2 inches when you're putting your peonies in. And then you just go ahead and lightly cover it like I'm doing here. And I'm not going to mulch it today. I will once they come up and they start coming out, the shoot system. I'll go ahead and just, do it at that point. But for right now, we're going to leave it as far as the soil goes. Now, if you're planting the ones that are already established, similar story. When you're putting these in the ground, the level of the soil that's at the top of the container needs to be level with the soil you're putting it in. And then you just sprinkle a light amount of soil on top of it. They do not want to go too deep. Otherwise, again, you get a lot of leaves, but no flowers. So now that has gone in, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of water. It was soaking before, but we want to make sure it, gets a nice, good soak. And I always like to plant my things before, like a day or two before it rains, because nothing like rain, I'm telling you. So here are the established ones that we have over here, and they are so absolutely gorgeous. And you don't really need to feed these plants too much. They pretty much do a lot for themselves here. And you can see how they're looking over here. This is just such a beautiful one. This is just opening up. It just looks so bright and so beautiful. So you can choose whatever types you like. Again, tree peonies are a little bit different than this one. They're a little bit taller and more woody, while these are herbaceous, and they do come back year after year. So they are perennials. So they're a wonderful thing to have. And this is what they look like when the blooms are spent right here. And of course, you can go in and trim them back, and then allow the leaves to stay as they are. And then they'll get yellow. And in the fall, you can go ahead and cut them back like here, but you cut them all the way down to the ground. That's what they prefer. And you just have them do that, and then they'll come right back up for you in the springtime and serve you so well. I just love watching them in the breeze. I think they're so beautiful. Now, as far as food goes, you really don't need to give them too much when they're established. One thing I'll say is that it does take a few years for you to get a lot of flowers, typically about 3 years or so, I would say, for you to get a lot of blooms. So you really will have to have patience with this plant. And while they're coming up, like year 1 or 2, you can always go ahead and give them some food, like in the fall or in the early spring before they bloom. And you can go ahead and give them some food at that time. And I will link these in the description box. You can get one of those if you like, and you can feed them. But if they're looking good and healthy, lots of blooms, then there is no need to do any of that. Now, as far as pests and diseases go, if you're getting insect pests, like thrips or like any of the other ones that you typically see on there that may bother your plant, you can go ahead and use the insecticidal soap. That's what I like to do, and just go in and spray it, and it pretty much takes care of them. And if you get and I'll link some in the description box below for you, at least one of them, so you can get that on Amazon if you like. Next thing is, if they get fungal diseases on you, like you get black spot diseases, you may see powdery mildew. Those are some of the things that affect it. I personally like to use hydrogen peroxide. That's just me though. You can get fungicides if you like. You can get those online. But it's basically just a 3% solution of hydrogen peroxide. So it's 1 part of the hydrogen peroxide that you normally get in the bottle to 2 parts of water. So in this case, because I have a 2-cup measure, I'm not doing a lot today. I'm just going to do 1/3 cup of the hydrogen peroxide and 2/3 cup of the water, and just shake it up, and then go ahead and spray. You can spray above the plant and then below, and you should be good. And that's one of my rose plants there that I typically use this on. If you want to see some more beautiful spring blooms, I am linking this video at the end for you. You can go ahead and take a look at it to enjoy my iris flowers in full bloom if you like. And just to say that this is a wonderful plant. I don't think you'll regret getting it. The only thing is that, you will have to have a little patience for it to start blooming if you're going to get it from the dry roots. It will fast track a little bit more if you get one that's already established. But either way, it's very beautiful for your garden. So I hope it inspires you to get one of these plants. I do thank you so much for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care.